Get the room ready.
Yeah.
Are we ready? Yep. Awesome. Guys, Mike, Joe, cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming.
Cheers. Thanks for
Appreciate
having
it. Joe, I think we met as well as Mike, in passing when I was training with Matt Krieger at Advantage Health back when you were in the Homedale School for
right.
Henzo.
That's right.
How many years ago was that now? It was like...
So the Homedale School opened up in 2009, and we were there, I believe, 5 years. I think till 2014.
Yeah, so that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Good 8 years ago.
Yeah. You still look good.
I'm trying. I wish I could hang with you two. Soon I'll get the jiu-jitsu down. Something that we did a little bit of housekeeping. This podcast / YouTube series is about spotlighting local business owners and talking to guys who either said, I'm tired of doing the traditional route, which is working for the man or sitting in a cubicle, or I didn't want to do the college route. You guys are kind of a blend of the both. You went to trade school. You didn't pick the college route. You end up taking up jiu-jitsu pretty heavily. Mike, you were a police officer, former police officer now, and you finally retired and said, hey, you know what, I'm going to start a business, which is this gun defense business that you guys both now own and operate. So thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, man.
I
Thanks for having me.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it, brother.
Where is the business out of again?
Hazlet.
Hazlet. How many people are you instructing nowadays? A month on a regular basis?
It varies, kind of goes up and down depending especially on the weather. Our range is outdoors. So, sometimes this past few weeks was a little rough, but weekends are pretty busy.
Yeah, I prefer the outdoor ranges.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I feel a little nervous in the indoor ranges, not to throw shade at anybody who owns one. It's just
No, for sure. If you sit back and just watch the whole line on an
it's
indoor
sketchy.
range, the people who didn't have any instruction, right? They're just kind of like going there for fun. Didn't really take any instruction or classes. You'll see so many safety hazards going on in just a really short amount of time. That's, it actually kind of turned you off to indoor ranges maybe a little bit. And
absolutely.
And that's not to talk bad about them.
Yeah.
Because we have the same issues that we deal with on our range. People are brand new. But the beauty is when there's only one person, we do one-on-one sessions at our range. When it's just one person, we could put 100% attention onto that person for their instruction, for their learning, but also for the safety aspect, right? For them and us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we had, you trained a lot of the people within your municipality you worked for. You also were doing some training for firearms and rifle and sniper for the state of New Jersey. So you have a pretty, vast background in regards to gun safety and actually the use of a firearm. Talk a little bit about your background on that, for your former employer as well as what you still do with the state.
Yeah, so I was an instructor for my department in the Hazlet Police Department since 2002, where I instructed my own other guys and girls that we worked with there for qualifications and our training. From there, I went to the Department of Criminal Justice, and I kind of volunteered as an instructor out there from 2008 until the present time, where we do handgun, rifle or patrol rifle, shotgun, sniper, and that's for agencies throughout the state to go back to their departments to be instructors for their agencies.
What type of agencies?
Anything from municipal police departments to state police. They all come through these classes to get their instructor certifications to go back and be able to teach for their agencies for qualifications and training.
Back for their agencies. How long does it take to become qualified as an instructor or certified?
Well, the instructor course is a 40-hour course, and after you pass that through the Police Training Commission, and you get your instructor certification, then you're able to instruct for your department. If you maintain a PTC certification, you can teach instructors or other agencies as well. So just a regular firearms instructor can go back and teach students from their agency or officers from their agency. But when you have a PTC certification, then you're able to instruct other officers.
And knowing the two of you and knowing Joe being an instructor / teacher in the jiu-jitsu world, Mike did it as well. You've always been about defense. You've always been about safety of others. I've watched your courses for years.
Yeah.
You know, as a police officer, former police officer, you know, making sure that you keep the public safe is extremely important. And as you've walked through, you know, the changes over the last, 10 years in that world, what are some of the things that are red flags to you that come up that really, maybe take away from the police officer being able to defend himself and or the public?
Well, I can tell you that in the past year or so, we've seen like a downturn in society. Things have started to go south, and a lot of people are purchasing guns and going at it with no training. So I kind of saw this as an opportunity, and was actually asked by a friend repeatedly if we could get together and do some training. So I started put together a class for a friend of mine and a few of his friends. And as soon as that class was over, they asked if we could do another class for. We did a handgun class. They wanted to do a rifle class, and then they wanted to do a shotgun class. And it was at that point I realized that I think there's a bigger opportunity out there to start helping other people that are new to firearms, or people that just haven't had the right training. So our ultimate goal is to get people how to understand how to operate safely, not only on the range, but a lot of people are doing this for home defense.
Yeah, and I want to drill down on that a little bit more, from the safety of the public, what the police can do to keep me safe, right? So I purchased my 2 weapons right prior to the election in 2020. You hear this crazy talk of stuff online. You hear the QAnons. You hear the, about the Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and you see cities being burned down, and you hear all this craziness, and you're saying, as a homeowner who I have at the time a 1-year-old son and a wife, you're thinking like, shit, if stuff goes down, like, it doesn't even seem like the police officers can protect me. I got to worry about protecting myself.
Yeah, their hands are tied as well.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit, and then talk about how you brought the jiu-jitsu in without firearms to really protect yourself as well as others.
Well, as far as the training that we do for our students, we see a lot of students now that are purchasing guns, but really don't know how to go about getting training or what to do as far as safely storing the gun in the home. So we take it from like a start to finish approach. There's many steps that are required in this. Getting the gun is I guess your first step, but being able to operate it safely on the range is one thing. But a lot of people are looking to defend their home. Like you said, you can't always rely on the police, and understanding that if somebody does break into your home, that person's seconds away. Even though the police here, there's a great police department in your town here, their response time is going to be minutes away. Mm-hmm. So you might be forced to handle that situation on your own.
Yeah, and how long do you typically train your people to get the weapon out, as well as to be able to aim it on another person or shoot it at another person?
We set up different standards drills, but our thing is being able to store the gun safely in the home, but still have quick access. The use of biometric safes has come along very good now. There's a lot of different safes out there that you can gain access to your gun and have it up and running very quickly. Our standard is 7 seconds, and I have video of students doing that easily in 7 seconds, removing the gun from the safe and making a hit on, we have rubber dummy targets at our range, human torso type, and 7 seconds making 3 good hits.
Yeah.
What's a nice thing about having your own private range, right? Because Mike's family owns the property and the range where we...
you guys are in Jackson.
Where we teach at. It's
Green
just
Ridge.
past Great Adventure, yeah. That we can set up mock bedrooms in a way. Like we can create the same exact layout as their home is, as their bedroom is, that they're going to defend themselves in the time where something goes wrong. And they're coming to get their gun out of their safe. They're moving to the part of the room where they're supposed to focus on the doorway, push the gun out, press the trigger on a rubber dummy target a certain amount of time. Whereas maybe at some other ranges, or obviously public ranges, you can't do things like that, right?
That's very unique.
So we try to take it a little bit further than the standard, get your stance, put up a paper target, and press your trigger, and, oh, look, my group is okay, I'm a great shooter, right? It's so much more past that.
You shot competitively since 2006, I think.
2006, yeah. Yeah, so like my firearms instruction, or my firearms training and all, in competition, all that, it always got outshadowed by my jiu-jitsu, because that's like number one to me. You know, still to this day, I still love jiu-jitsu so much. I started training in 1993. I've never stopped training since 1993.
Yeah, both you know, something to defend yourself. You know, the jiu-jitsu as well as the
for sure
the firearms.
For sure. But like you mentioned, I didn't go to college. I didn't go to college because I loved jiu-jitsu so much that I couldn't imagine moving out of the state where my school was or anything like that, or going far away, living out of college and not being able to train every single day.
You were fixated on it.
Yeah, it was like because I was training 4 or 5 years at that time. Those days were much different, you know, obviously than nowadays.
A little bit about your jiu-jitsu, and we'll jump around between the two companies. You train obviously at Henzo School.
Henzo Gracie Middletown Martial Arts, yeah.
Middletown Martial Arts.
That's where I teach. Yeah, me and Hollis Gracie.
Yeah, you and Hollis
and Paul Menor.
Was Henzo the one who made you the black belt, right?
Yes, yeah. I got my black belt from Henzo in 2009. I've trained with Henzo throughout the years, but I've also been a longtime student of John Danaher. So John Danaher gave me my purple belt and gave me my brown belt, and cornered me in one of my super fights for MMA. And I trained with him. The first time I trained with John was 2000. So that could give you an example of how long I trained with John.
It's a long time.
So a really good mix of John and Henzo kind of makes up my style. And I like to think that's why Mike chose me.
I was going to say, you guys met through
I like to think
the gym,
it's
right?
because he thought I was such a great instructor in jiu-jitsu that he had to bring me over to the firearms.
Well, you're always humble. You're nice.
Yeah,
that's
the thing.
You don't try to be arrogant.
That's true.
Or tough. And I know you could kick my
true.
head off quickly, or choke me out.
Sometimes too humble, I think.
Did you guys meet? You guys met at the school, correct?
Yeah, so I started training jiu-jitsu in a guy's house in Middletown. Taught under a Middletown police officer, Steve Dollinger. And then when Henzo's school opened up...
Crazy Steve.
Yep. When Henzo's school opened up, our school, or Steve and Joe, all our students met, and I started training at that school. And a lot of that training wound up being under Joe, and then I did a lot of jiu-jitsu with Joe. And actually, kind of how we got involved with firearms, he would ask me, hey, could you take a look at this gun, or I'm having an issue with this, or can you fix that? So I did some gun work for Joe.
This guy's amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, all the accolades he has and teaching for all these things is
gunsmithing,
crazy.
like full FFL. I mean, anything you need done with as far as firearms related, buying the gun, getting training on the range, buying ammo, having your gun worked on, gun cleaning. It doesn't matter what it is.
Can you guys get
This
deals
guy
on
does
ammo?
everything.
Yes,
Yeah,
we do sell ammo.
We sell ammo out of our shop. Yeah.
I definitely need some more 9mm ammo. So
do I.
I'll be coming. So I want to stay on the jiu-jitsu just for a minute. So as a former police officer who was dealing with people in streets, for lack of a better term, you had to make sure that you were defending yourself as well as the public. What did jiu-jitsu do for you and being able to do that?
So, as far as jiu-jitsu with law enforcement, it's my belief, I feel that every officer should at least attain a blue belt. I think that your ability to not only be offensive and control somebody, but jiu-jitsu teaches you so many lessons, right? The first time you ever get choked, you're like, this is really uncomfortable, right? You panic, start breathing heavy, and then after training jiu-jitsu a little while, and you realize you just need that much room, that much space to hold on. That might be that fraction of a second to be able to get loose. And as a police officer, we can't lose, right? We have a gun on our side. If we get choked out or if we get beat up, that could be the end.
Life or death.
Yeah.
So understanding the lessons that you learn in that, I think, is priceless. Far more than just the moves and being able to complete those moves themselves. So I think that in law enforcement, you'll often hear today people talking about the training that law enforcement officers get, and from both sides of the aisle, how officers are undertrained or how they overreact or do certain things. You're always at a disadvantage as a police officer because you have to react to what this person's doing, whether that's pulling a gun or a physical altercation or what have you. So
And now you have to think about the law that's seen to be
right
coming after
now,
police officers.
and you're as a police officer expected to just be punched or kicked or even shot, and the criminals are now the victims. So it's gotten worse and worse. Even not being able to choke somebody unless it's a deadly situation. So I mean, you've trained jiu-jitsu yourself a little bit, and I could ask you, what would you feel you would rather be punched in the face and knocked out,
Choked
or
out
choked
any
out? Right.
Not that that's fun, but
A minute later, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Your jaw's still in place, teeth are still there. But unfortunately, a lot of the lawmakers and people.
they seem to be coming after cops. Now,
Right.
do you guys at your school run any special programs for law enforcement?
Not specifically. We do some programs for, like some incentive programs for police officers, some discounts and such like that. But throughout my years of teaching and training and all that, I can't tell you the amount of law enforcement and military guys I've trained. Just an absurd amount of people.
I remember I was training with Matt, with you guys. It was a ton of Middletown and
and it's fantastic. Like I really love when that's the case, because like Mike said, I mean, I used to train this cop from where I was at, and he was a big, muscular guy, strong guy. And if you looked at the guy, you'd probably be intimidated a little bit just on appearance, because I mean, he was a big, massive man. And when I was training him and teaching him, his whole thing was, he said, I'm scared that I'm going to pull over or try to arrest a 17-year-old kid one day, and he's going to have been training jiu-jitsu since he was 12, and he's going to take me down, choke me out, and take my gun out. So since that's the case, and I know that's possible because I started training jiu-jitsu, I know that that is more than likely the case to happen if I meet someone that trained and I didn't train. So he's like religiously did privates and classes and training. You know, like
I remember watching like Bobby Johnson's young daughter. I don't know how she was, like maybe 15, 16 at the time.
Yeah.
And
she's
she
wrestling now for college.
Yeah, that's the youngest one. I was talking about the older daughter.
Oh yeah.
The youngest one, she's a beast
she's
in
awesome,
wrestling.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude.
But
yeah,
I
Bobby's
mean,
a great guy too, man.
Yeah,
He's
crazy, dude. I love him.
Love that guy.
But they, you're watching these little girls choke, grown men out, and you're like, wow, I'm soft, like I'm vulnerable.
Yeah,
and,
for real.
What you guys are doing with both jiu-jitsu and the gun defense program, you're giving back, and I think that you guys see a weakness in the society, especially again post 2020. And I wanted to go back now to the guns. I think there was a stat, in 2020, there was the most guns purchased ever in the state of New Jersey, as well as the whole entire United States. Do you guys know the number on that approximately?
I wouldn't be able to rattle that number off the top of my head, but
I did know it because it was a big selling point for us. But it was a very, very large number.
And
so our whole thing was like, man, if you get a gun, most people get a gun and they think they're good. I got a gun, I'm good. I'm going to defend myself, defend my family. They don't have, without one day of instruction or anything, any repetitions on that gun for tactics. But the biggest thing is for safety, right? Like when you're in your home, and Mike was saying, as you're in your home or you're on the range, it's two totally different things. On the range, it's very simple. Keep your gun pointed down range at all times. Don't touch it when someone's down range, and you're good, right? When you're in your home and you're taking your gun that's loaded out of your safe and you want to unload your magazine, well, which direction is it facing? Where's your finger, right? Like, there's little things that they're very common sense after they're taught, but when they're not taught to you and never brought up, you just never think about them. And we see it at the range with new students. I mean, almost every day. Every day we're there. It's not anyone's fault, but owning a gun is simply not enough.
Yeah.
Just buying the gun and saying I'm good is not enough.
Now, Mike, talk about some of the programs that you guys as a company that you've put out there and you're selling now. I know you talked to me, which I thought was something super interesting, is you actually come to my house and you build a, what would you call it? A
home defense plan.
Home defense plan.
Right. So
for me specifically.
Generally, we start off with, we can help our customers or students with selecting a gun, right? Making the right purchase. Oftentimes, we have people that have a certain gun in mind and they've never shot it, or think that they need a revolver, or think that they need a certain type of gun. What we like to do is have people come out to the range, try out the gun, and then we can get them into a gun that's comfortable for them. But one of the big things that Joe and I teach as far as a home defense gun, it's got to be capable of holding a weapon-mounted light. So everything that we teach and instruct revolves around not only a tactical win for our student, but a legal win as well. We want you to come out on the winning side, understanding that the likelihood of ever having to use a gun in our home is relatively low, right? But the safety aspect of it and what we do is extremely important, storing the gun safely in the home. So our safety class, we really try and craft that around a home defense plan, right? So like what Joe was saying as far as operating within the home as opposed to being on the range. So the International Firearms Safety Rules, we cover that, but we break it down so you understand it as you're operating in your home, right? After we cover that, we cover the features and functions of your specific gun. So the students bring their gun to the safety class. We bring dummy rounds. We teach them how to load a magazine. We teach them how to load the gun. We teach them how to unload it, make it clear, safe, and empty for transport or travel or cleaning, what have you. After we cover those things, we go over the fundamentals of marksmanship: stance, grip, sight alignment, trigger press, and follow through. And then from there, we cover clearing malfunctions. Then we go into safe storage of a gun in the home, understanding the different types of
Now,
biometric
what would you
safes.
say is the best way to store a gun in the home?
We want to be able to have quick access, like we were talking about before. Having a gun with a trigger lock or a cable lock, that's not quick access, right? It's unrealistic to think that in the middle of the night you're going to get those little keys and take your trigger lock off and
3
take
o'clock
that
in
out
the
of the gun.
morning, yeah.
In
We have a
dark,
student who does this.
in the dark, under pressure, then load the gun. Like I said, the person that comes in your back door or front door, they're seconds away. So that's an unrealistic expectation to be able to be ready like that. So we cover the different types of biometric safes.
Now, what is a biometric safe? For the people that don't understand.
Right, so you're able to open up the safe with your fingerprints.
Yep.
Also have a punch code and then a key for backup.
It does all three, yeah.
Being able to have this in a location where you're easily able to...
Accessible, yeah.
Yeah, having it buried underneath clothes. Everything that we do, we want this to be minimal movement, right? And like I said, from a legal standpoint, we're not going on a seek and destroy mission. We want to stay...
Guarded in a room where you're pushed back.
Right. I want to be where my family members are in an area where we're not going to have any kind of crossfire situation. So that's why we talk about having the home defense plan, because if you don't have that plan in place prior to somebody coming in your home, you're probably not going to whip up a good plan, when you hear breaking glass or the door kicked in.
So the legal side of things, this is always interesting to me because a state that we live in is pretty strict with these rules, right? So
Right.
if someone breaks into your home and, you have to take their life to protect your family, what are the main points you would give to somebody and you teach in your course to make sure that legality-wise you don't end up in a really bad litigious situation?
So, like from the start, Joe and I, we always say this, that we are not here to sit and say that if somebody enters your home that they're going to leave in a body bag or you're going to fill them through a lead. We don't talk like that.
But if you
the
have to.
ultimate goal is to never, ever have to press the trigger in your home, right? But if we do, like I said, we're going to stay put. Your home is your last point of retreat, right? You're not obligated to leave your home, right? I live on a second story of my home. I'm not going to jump out the window and leave everybody else in the house.
You can't.
I have to defend that. So when we look at this from a legal standpoint, having a weapon-mounted light for positive threat identification, right? We have to have it. So somebody comes into your home and now, unfortunately, you had to press the trigger, and now you're testifying and being asked, did you shoot my client at 2 o'clock in the morning? Yes. Were the lights on in your home? No. How did you know that this person was a threat? How do you know they weren't there asking for help? So when you're able to articulate the fact that you had a weapon-mounted light, you recognize that this person did not belong in your home, and that they were advancing towards you in a threatening manner.
You knew where else to go.
These are things that are going to cover you legally. The other
and that's
end of
important because, listen, as crazy as it is, again, back to the law enforcement, you see police officers losing their job, and some maybe have done things wrong. Others, they're just simply defending themselves and they end up in a situation where they may be losing their job or they're in court. These are tough places to be. So as a person who owns a gun and I want to defend my family, I'm also a sharp guy. I'm thinking, how do I stay out of trouble if, God forbid, I had to do this?
We don't want our students winding up in something like this and then going to jail. So having that weapon-mounted light is something that, to us, that's paramount, right? It's almost as important as the gun itself.
I need to get one of those.
So is this a person that has Alzheimer's and walked into your home, or an autistic person, or somebody that's drunk? I can tell you from personal experience, I've had this happen multiple times as a police officer, responding to somebody's house where somebody else walked in, even spent the night, drunk on their couch. So
I think some of my friends might have been the
these
guys
people are not
you were
threats.
talking about.
Yeah, it doesn't make them a bad person, but these people aren't threats, and to be able to have yourself equipped and then
Knowledgeable.
trained in what to do. So having that home defense plan, what you were asking before, is something that we do where we come to the home and we look at the layout of your home, where your kids are sleeping, where your wife is sleeping, how your house is set up, and how to properly do that. And with the use of a laser training kit, we bring a laser training kit, put a laser bullet in your gun, we set up targets in locations, and we do time drills and get you to understand how to get the gun out of the safe, how to get into position and hold that position and use your weapon-mounted light. And these are things that you can practice.
So jumping back in, the lasers, the course that you're talking about, how does that work? It sets up as an app. It's a target in your house.
Well, I'd like to talk about this, but this is Joe's specialty right here. This is his.
All right, so give me the.
No, so like I said, I was competing in a competitive shooter since 2006, and back then it was like you're just gonna shoot. You go to the range, see how you do, and afterwards you're like, oh man, I didn't do so good today. Oh, I can't wait to get back to the range next time because I'm gonna try to do better. There was no for me I'm talking. There was no way to work on what little things you needed to do. At least I wasn't aware of it yet. So at that point, the more experienced shooters that I became friends with were talking about dry fire. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you mean just press the trigger with no bullets in it? That's kind of silly. But what happens is dry fire is like the most incredible thing you can do to become proficient with your firearm, and just for even safety purposes for new shooters. Well, for new shooters, just having the gun in their hand and manipulating the slide, taking the magazine out, doing mag changes, whatever case, just having it in their safe. We have people that come to our class and they learn all the safety. Our safety class is like 3.5 hours. It's long, very intensive.
What does that cost, the safety class?
$150 for the whole thing.
It's a great deal.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Kidding me? That's great.
So they'll go home, put their gun in their safe, and for 3 months not touch it. Right? So like all of a sudden now they want to open their safe. They're like, you know what? I want to go to the range. Yeah. And they're like, wait,
what is the code?
Which way do I which way do I grab it? Am I supposed to push this button first to take the magazine, or And we want you to be a little bit more familiar with the gun. Dry fire, just by dry firing, you already have the gun in your hand for a brand new shooter. When it comes to experienced shooters or competitive shooters, the whole secret to shooting is being able to press your trigger without disrupting your sights, right? So the more time I could keep my sights on target with a perfect stance, a perfect grip, perfect sight alignment, perfect trigger control, and press that trigger without having that front sight move, doing it over and over and over again, I get hundreds of reps in throughout the week. And then when I go to the range, now it's the same exact thing I was doing the entire week, right?
It's just like shooting hoops. It's that muscle memory.
Right? So what happened was I was dry firing with just my pistol that I was competing with, and I'd press the trigger because what I would do is stand about 5 to 7 yards away, and I'd cut a little 1 inch by 1 inch square and stick it behind my light switch cover. So I had this little 1 inch target. I was just aiming on, pressing the trigger, drawing over and over, right? But after that, I started to realize, hey man, I'm pressing the trigger, my fundamentals are good, but there's no result. I'm not being able to
seeing
tell.
That it's hitting.
Yeah, I think I did good, but I don't really know. So at that time, I bought what's called a CERT pistol. It's a training pistol, and every time you press the trigger, it shoots one red laser, one dot, right? And it's modeled after a Glock 17, or at least the version I had was. Has a detachable magazine, has a resetting trigger, has crude Glock sights like they pretty much have, and a sucky trigger like the Glocks do. But I love Glock, by the way.
Big Glock guy.
I'm a
Yeah.
guy. So
Sounds like he loves them.
no, I really do. I really do.
He does.
Mike's a SIG guy. But so what happened was I was practicing with that training pistol over and over and over. And then I'd go to compete, but then I was competing with my other gun, my real gun. And it just didn't feel the same. It didn't feel the same drawing my pistol out of my holster. The trigger's not even close. The sights aren't good. The weight is different, right? So I'm like, man, this is kind of giving me like a different feel.
And feels important
When I'm
for everything.
practicing with a gun that I'm not going to compete with. And the thing about the laser training kits that we sell is you're actually taking a laser bullet and you're putting it into the exact same gun that you're going to
Now, what does a
defend your
laser
family with.
bullet mean to somebody that has no clue?
So a laser bullet, you open your slide, right? You lock the slide to the rear and you place your laser bullet into your chamber. And you close the slide, and every time you press the trigger, one red laser will shoot out of your gun. The benefit is you're getting to dry fire as much as you want, wherever you want, not costing you a penny, right? Because we know the price of ammo.
Yeah.
Getting all this repetition in with the same exact gun that I would compete with, or that you're going to defend your home with, or whatever the person is doing with it.
You can let the kids train with it. It's safe.
It's a great way to introduce kids, for sure. But you're getting to use that exact same pistol that you would use in whatever you're going to use the pistol for, not having to use some plastic training pistol. On top of that, the laser training kit comes with a target you shoot at. It has an app, and it goes through your camera on your phone. So it'll take a picture of the target you're shooting, and it tells you where the hits were, 10, 9, 8. It records all of
crazy.
your hits, right? Yeah, it records all your hits. It saves them to your camera roll. You can compare to the others. You can send them to your friends, like, yeah, this is what I just did. And I always say, like, Mike will have, like, all 10s, but I know he walks up to the target, and it just goes like this, and then he sends
I
it
just
to
gotta
us.
beat Joe.
We're like, yeah, dude,
Joe's
come
like,
on.
get on the mat. Let me
No
check you
way,
out.
no
He
way.
doesn't know where I stand. It's right there.
But as far as
And what do those kits cost?
$105.
Really? That's crazy.
Less than 3
That's so
boxes of
cheap.
ammo. Less than 3 boxes of ammo. And like,
And what is
truthfully-
ammo up per box now for, you know,
That's a good question.
it's expensive. Even I know I was looking
It's
the other
expensive.
day. 500 rounds was like
3 boxes of even 9mm right now is going to cost you more than 105.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So forget about 45 and
Yeah,
3%
so on.
stuff like that. Yeah.
The results that we have with these laser kits are it's unbelievable. I mean, from advanced shooters all the way down to recruit training. I've used it for police recruits. Used it today at a girl that she's training. She's going to be going to the police academy shortly. It's an excellent way to train when you can't get to the range, but it's also an excellent way to train if you have somebody that's developing flinch or anticipation, because you don't have that recoil. And
That's right.
we have students from 7 years old all the way up to 86. The one woman we have shoot, she's 85, and I can tell you that in the beginning she shot okay, but started to develop a little flinch. She began training with the laser training kit, and I cannot tell you how good she shoots. It's unbelievable, and she's super competitive. Her name's Paula. I use her as one of my model students. She is unbelievable, and what she said, and it makes sense for everybody to hear it, every time she presses the trigger, she treats it as if it's a laser and there's no explosion. So she doesn't think about recoil, and every shot, her shot
secret right
placement's
there.
unbelievable.
And when do you guys run these courses? And tell me the actual programs that you guys have. Lay it out for the people watching. What are the different programs you have? How many are there? And then how often do you actually do, the 3-hour course that Joe was talking about earlier?
So we try to do that once a week. It might be 1 or 2 students, or up to 5, 6 people, 7 people
Try to
In
keep it small
Hazlet.
purposely.
in the class. Yeah,
So you can give proper
More
attention.
attention. Exactly.
we have myself, Joe, and another instructor, Vinny. He just retired from the police department in Hazlet as well. So most of the time there's 3 of us there, and we're able to help each person through the weapons manipulations part of it, and keeping everybody up to speed throughout the class, which is very important. We say it's a 3.5 hour class, but oftentimes it goes a little bit longer, because we're not there to kick people out. We want everybody's questions answered, and we want everybody to feel comfortable with what we're teaching them, before they leave.
So what would you say to a guy, he has watched what has gone on with BLM and Antifa and everything we have seen in this crazy world over the last 2-3 years. he really thinks that a gun should be in the house to protect the family, but he has a wife who's afraid or doesn't have, a father who, had a gun in the household. What are you doing to get that type of family over the hump and make them feel comfortable and safe, which is most important, with having a gun?
We've had several incidents like this in just the past few months. I've actually had some students that won't come to the class. They want us to come teach in their home because, as they said, they're anti-gun. Up until last year, we've had several students say that. I was anti-gun up until last year.
Do they say why? Did they say why they were anti-gun until last year?
I try to avoid politics, obviously, in
but
my
it's
class.
The politics.
But yes,
they saw what happened.
So
I
people.
think everybody did, right? It's like
everyone
felt.
I watch the news. I feel like no one sees it, but I feel like everybody sees it. I don't know.
It's like this unspoken thing.
Yeah,
It's like,
people are paying attention.
So we do those safety classes in a classroom setting, but we also do them in home for people that don't feel comfortable in a classroom setting or don't want other people knowing they have a gun. And I get that. Some people are just very private. It's something that it's actually part of our safety class as far as, keeping a low profile and out of sight, out of mind is kind of the way to operate with that.
Absolutely.
We don't want to be walking out of our house with our gun case, letting everybody know we're going to the range. We've had several people where only the husband will come or only the wife. Actually, more often than not, it's the wife that comes.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people that don't feel that they need a safety class or they don't need instruction.
That's something to touch on, actually. That's a big, big thing.
I do
because
actually want to
you
touch
get a
on
lot.
that.
We have. There's so many people, even friends of mine, that I know that they have a gun, and they went to some local range, around here, and they shot a piece of paper that wasn't moving, and their group was, a 6-inch group at 5 yards.
With
or
a
something.
buddy who's been
They're happy
shooting for
with it.
5 years.
Yeah, and then they're like, I'm kind of good, or they're posting pictures on Facebook or social media saying like, look at my group, look how good this is. When honestly, those groups really aren't that great. Like, if you're not shooting like a quarter size group
is
at
there
5 yards.
Specific you want to go after, Joe?
No,
we can go after him right now.
No, there's a
I'm just
lot.
kidding.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's not
everybody.
That, yeah, because here's the thing. When I first started shooting, I thought the same thing. Like, I did the same thing until someone told me that it could be this way. And then all of a sudden I'm like, man, there's actually like we were talking about earlier, if you just go to the range, press the trigger a couple times and see how you did, and then you don't practice again until the next time you go, you're just kind of like throwing it out there to see what you can do. But imagine you're like, wait, how was my grip? Was my stance okay? How's my sight alignment? How's my trigger press?
How did I take the
How's
gun
my
up?
follow through?
Yeah.
Right? There's all these things that need to go through. So that's why dry fire is so important, because in dry fire, you can work on every little one of those things. I like to tell the students a lot of time, it's hard for, especially beginner students, fire a live round and then kind of diagnose what the issue was for them. Because a live round's going off, there's a little bit of anticipation there. So they shoot up to the left. Is it because their grip wasn't good? Did they press the trigger too hard? It's kind of too hard to tell because there's a lot of anticipation. It's a live round. If I use the laser trainer kit and I press the trigger and my shot's up and off to the left, I can stop right there and look exactly what the problem is. I could diagnose one of those fundamentals from another, right?
I wouldn't even say accuracy, honestly, for the home defense. I would say you're in a situation that all of a sudden you have all this adrenaline rush in your body and your mind.
That's right.
And if you've never been in a fight or you've never been in a situation like that where it's potentially life and death, like your body operates completely different. I know that you guys probably go through some of that with your courses.
Yeah, well, like to say, like, if you don't have a plan for home defense, or, worst case scenario, the door kicks in at 2 a.m., whatever the case may be, and you think you're just going to whip up a plan in that moment, you're kind of doomed for failure, right?
Now, what does it cost to say, you guys come to my house and build me a home defense plan?
So
it's usually about $200 to $225. Most houses, we're going to have
To protect my family, that's pennies.
But this is something that you can practice after we leave, especially if you have your own laser training kit. You can set yourself up. And one of the things that, is important is having your wife involved, right? Making sure she knows what to do. I think most people are conditioned. They hear the door kick in or glass break. What do they want to do? Dial 911. And like I said before, 911 is minutes away. The person in your house is seconds away. So being able to be in a position where you're able to defend your home, have your gun out, and be ready as opposed to just calling 911 and waiting. They're two different things.
I think that I'm literally going to get on your schedule because my wife is all about it, as well as getting to the range and your course. I'll do all of them because I think it's important. I don't know all the safety measures.
Yeah. So as far as a company, we offer the safety classes like we talked about, which is, it's much more than just a safety class. A lot of guys we see put on safety classes.
And the full name of the company again?
Duncan Defense.
Duncan Defense.
Yeah, DuncanDefense.com.
DD, it's perfect.
Yep. Yeah, that's an important one, right? I guess we should have said that.
Duncan Defense Consultants.com, yep.
So we do safety classes, we do one-on-one range instruction, we do home defense plans, as Mike was talking about. Complete FFL, so you can buy your firearms through us, have them transferred to us and such. Complete gunsmithing work, cleaning, ammo sales. Basically, we want it to be like a one-stop shop, right? We don't want to be like, well, I need to go over here to get my gun, and then I'm going to go get ammo from over here. But yet, I want to have this optic placed on my gun. So where can I go? We do basically everything you could ask for your firearm.
Now, for the business end of it, right? For the business owners launching other businesses, maybe similar to yours, what are you doing from the perspective of social media, email grabs, zapping info, creating landing pages so you can drive people to your site and/or your social media to purchase ammo? Because I'll be very honest, I didn't know that you guys sold ammo.
Yeah,
I just looked at you as a defense company.
So I'll tell you what happened with that. Early on, we were posting our ammo that was in stock because we get weekly shipments, and I had a big problem with Facebook.
They were shutting you down.
They were shutting me down,
Yeah.
and still to this day, we're still like,
communism came in.
Yeah, we're still. I can't post anything about ammo, and even some of the things I post just about the curriculum or.
Now, are you grabbing?
things.
Do you have a Facebook group, like specifically for Duncan, like a Facebook group where people who have taken your classes? It's something maybe you guys should think about doing.
Yeah. Right now we just have our page.
Yeah, then you grab an email, so you guys can email that out to your list of people. Kind of like that's people you bank for later.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
You guys came through our course. Where are you buying your ammo? We're running a sale.
Right. So we're doing that like through email now, not actually through Facebook, but it's a great idea. We'll probably look into that as well. But the reason that we couldn't, we can't promote the ammo sales as much as possible, which was a big thing for us in the beginning because I was posting it. I posted everything we had, posting the prices. We were getting messages right away. Was that the safety guidelines and this and that and the other thing through Facebook. They basically just shut us down.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, that's here nor there. But
it's good to know, especially with the people that are local that may take your course, that they could just purchase the ammo. Because I'll be honest, I've shot guns up at a range. I've gone to a bachelor party. And I had just shot a good amount of times, and I thought that now I'm married, I have a home, and this craziness is going on in the world. I should have something.
Yeah.
But when I'm going out to purchase ammo, I'm like, hey, for 500 rounds, is this a good deal? Is this a good deal? And just like money, it's a commodity, so the value changes all the time. So having people you trust, a former police officer, Joe, I know you, and everybody who follows me, you could definitely trust in Joe and Mike, to know that you're getting a good deal, I think is important on ammo.
Sure, absolutely.
So at the end of this podcast / show, what I like to do is hit you guys with 2 questions regarding another local business owner. So it could be someone in Ocean County, could be someone in Monmouth County. This is about spotlighting other business owners and giving them their minute or 2 minute, you want to say, a nice little commercial about them. Mike, you can go with one. Joe, you can go with one. Whoever you want can go first. You can take as long as you want or as short as you want.
Go ahead, because I forget the name of the company, but I know who I want to promote.
Who is that?
Matt Oviedo.
Okay.
He has he started his own landscaping company just a few months ago. Really good kid. It's a jiu-jitsu student of mine. He worked with us with Duncan Defense. He was a longtime student with ours as well. Really, really great kid.
What town is he in?
He's in Union Beach. That's where he lives. He's servicing the entire Monmouth County, though. I can look it up on Facebook.
Yeah, no.
But Matthew Oviedo, Oviedo on Facebook. Since he started his company, he's been extremely busy. I've had him to my house for numerous times, and just a straight guy, will give you a fair price, do the work honestly, and actually show up. Which now, what the problem is, you get those contractors, these guys, no one shows up anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's inflation and all that sort of stuff. We had a guy come to the house for give us an estimate for wood fencing. For our yard's pretty big. He gave us the estimate. Was I'm ready to do it as soon as possible. He gave us the estimate. We agreed on it, and then he never emailed back, never called, never showed up. I mean, it just
I
went
hate
to
when the
wayside.
guys don't show up.
And it's like a common thing now, because there's a bigger job over here to get more money,
Yeah.
right? Like, so Matt will show up on time, and he does a fantastic job.
Good.
Yeah.
And Mike, what someone you want to spotlight?
So actually, it's a spotlight and a thank you, Mike Fabosi from Remax Realty. Mike, a longtime friend of mine. He's had an office in Atlantic Highlands. He actually let us use his office, and we were running our classes out of there. Unfortunately, he merged with another group in Remax, so he moved over to Aberdeen. But great guy in the real estate industry. Took care of Joe and I and the business. Also a student and a shooter. So I'd like any business I could send
It's helping
his
you
way.
out. Absolutely. Awesome.
For sure.
Well, guys, you guys have an IG page for
No
Duncan
Instagram.
Defense?
Just on Facebook.
Just on
Yep.
Facebook. And the website again was
It's
DuncanDefense.com.
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 Yep, our classes and prices are up there. Also setting it up for booking classes and stuff on there as well.
Listen, I'm 1,000% going to do it myself. With my wife, if I can get a babysitter. I appreciate you guys coming on. I personally believe that home defense is so important. Again, you don't have to be a competitive shooter, although that's awesome. Just being able to properly navigate your gun and be able to defend your family. Like, I know that I live for my fucking family every day now,
Sure.
and I'll do whatever it takes to defend them. So to understand the legality side of it, as well as just making sure I'm doing the right things so I can defend them, is extremely important. So what you guys are doing is awesome, and I appreciate you coming on. So cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you again.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Appreciate you having us.
Absolutely.